Now we turn to concerns around an escalation in fighting across the Middle East. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi is in Turkey, reportedly trying to iron out past differences and trying to stop the spread of the war in Gaza. His meeting with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan coming as the US and Britain step up joint airstrikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. That's as the Iranian-backed proxy targets shipping lanes in the Red Sea. So for more, we now welcome to studio Turkey expert Dr. Eytan Cohen Yanarocak from the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security. Still with us, Yaakov Lapin, military and strategic affairs analyst at the Jewish News Syndicate and Miriam Institute, and our senior diplomatic correspondent, Owen Alterman. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Hi, Eytan. I'm going to start with you because this trip by Ibrahim Raisi to Ankara was delayed twice already, but now it's happened. What's top of the agenda right now? Okay,
so first of all, I would like to emphasize that they are focusing on bilateral trade. According to the Turkish press, nowadays the trade volume between the two countries is approximately like $6 billion. And now there were some very ambitious declarations that they want to increase it to $30 billion. The Turkish aviation industry and the construction industry, they are very much eager to penetrate more into the Iranian market. Secondly, of course, they spoke about their traditional issue, the Kurdish insurgency, the PKK inside Turkey, the PJAK inside Iran, and PYD-YPG in northern Iraq and northern Syria. And the last but not the least, of course, they spoke about us, the conflict in the Gaza Strip, Israel. Of course, Raisi tagged us as Zionist regime, business as usual. But for the first time ever, unfortunately, I heard that both of the countries, they delivered a joint statement that they are supporting the resistance movements. And I think this is unprecedented. For the first time ever, Turkey is finding itself in the same frontier together with Iran, despite the fact that the Turkish Foreign Ministry still underlining and highlighting that they do believe in a two-state solution, but nevertheless, we still hear a very open support to terrorist organization Hamas. I think this is very crucial also for the Israeli-Turkish relations. Again, another deterioration in the relations. And if I may, I also would like to mention what they did not speak out loud. Right. This is the Azerbaijan and Azerbaijan's decisive victory against Armenia in 2020. I would like to remind you that from Iranian eyes, the Azerbaijani victory against Armenia was considered as a Turkish penetration in Caucasus, and they really did not like this idea. So if both of the presidents did not speak about this issue out loud, I assume that this is a very intimate issue, and it was again a symbol of positive agenda. They did not want to give any hint of a disagreement between the two states. No, they are focusing on positive agenda. And again, this is something problematic for the West, for the US, and for Israel. And also, let us not forget, only yesterday, the Turkish legislative passed a decision for paving the way of Sweden to NATO. Right. And the day after, the Iranians and Turks are together, so it's a very ambivalent Turkish foreign policy. Never a dull moment in Turkey.
But when we specifically look at the stance on what is happening here in terms of the war, Recep Tayyip Erdogan had some choice comments for Benjamin Netanyahu, comparing him to Hitler. Yeah. His comments about Israel specifically, it's not that surprising that he's sitting in cahoots now with Ibrahim Raisi discussing the way forward.
Yes, but let us also not forget, traditionally, the Turks and the Iranians, no matter what, they always tend to mend their fences, and you know, despite all of the differences, we have seen these throughout history. I only would like to remind you that the Ottoman Empire, the predecessor empire of the Turkish Republic, and the Safavid Empire, which was the predecessor of the Iranians, they are not engaging in a conventional warfare since 16 1639. I would like to emphasize once again, since 1639, we are not witnessing a total warfare, a large-scale war between the two countries. They are engaging in proxy wars, where in Syria, in Iraq, and other arenas in the Middle East.
And Yaakov, I'd like to bring you in on that point about Iranian proxies. There are several very active at the time, but I specifically want to talk about the Houthis seemingly undeterred by the UK and US reaction to their activity at sea. How do you see this unfolding, and how worrying is this right now? Ostensibly, they're targeting vessels heading to Israeli ports, although they clearly aren't the only ships being targeted.
Right. I think the word deterrence really needs to start leaving the lexicon when we're dealing with jihadist proxies that are operating on Iranian directives. The only thing that's to be done in these cases, in my view, is to consistently degrade capabilities. The Houthis will not be deterred by strikes. They have endured years of conflict against Saudi Arabia and airstrikes, and also a ground war in Yemen, and they know how to handle themselves in a war and be in it for the long run. The Americans are definitely proving a commitment to a more persistent military campaign. That's good news. The idea that one or two strikes would cause the Houthis to reconsider was unrealistic to begin with. They are acting on Iranian directives, in my view. The goal here is to undermine the international economy as another pressure lever against Israel, against the United States, and they're absolutely operating as an Iranian pawn in a strategic waterway, attacking these oil tankers, and definitely causing harm to the Israeli, to the Egyptian, to the Saudi economies, all of the countries that Iran wants to damage and attack. So again, I don't think deterrence is relevant here. The only thing that makes sense is to consistently downgrade their capabilities with the US's very, very considerable air power and maritime power.
Your last thoughts about the role that Turkey could be playing right now. We keep on talking here about the day after in terms of the war. It's a long way off, and there are many scenarios that could play out. But Recep Tayyip Erdogan, any particular influence, pressure, or role he could be playing at all?
Well, if we are speaking about the day after, I believe that they can be very involved in the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. The Turkish construction sector is a very well-known, sector that could play here a crucial role in reconstructing Gaza, and it would be also a win-win situation for Mr. Erdogan, because the construction sector in Turkey is considered as the most important supporter of Mr. Erdogan. So look at all Erdogan's pharaonic projects, like the bridges, the subway lines, etc. So with these pharaonic projects, he made these business tycoons richer, and these business tycoons supported him. And of course, since all of these projects had a huge impact on the daily lives of the citizens, so it was a huge support also for Erdogan's public approval. So I believe that Turkish subcontractors and contractors will do everything possible to get into Gaza Strip, as they did, for instance, in Libya.
Certainly something we're going to have to watch unfolding. Thank you as always for your insights, Dr. Eytan, Cohen, Yanarocak, Yaakov Lapin. Thank you both for being here on this day. Owen Alterman, you're going to be staying with us over the break. We're taking a very short break right now. When we get back, our rolling coverage continues on this breaking news edition.